kiss me like a child who tries to kill a flame with gasoline. What a sweet notion to put the apocalypse in motion. Angel, daughter of God, I worship the ground.
Welcome to Satellites Podcast Live, Season 2, Episode 2. Tonight's guest star, Danielle Reierson and Michelle Elise Shock. Here are your hosts, Aubrey Christine Trujillo and Jerry G. Angelo.
Hello, I'm Aubrey Christine Trujillo.
And I'm Jerry G. Angelo.
And who's this crazy guy with the beard?
Robert Dumont.
Oh,
Robert Dumont.
This crazy guy with the beard.
Oh, he's got the more incredible beard. Look, show us everyone the beard. Look at this thing. It's like
a little
goat.
crazy. I was out shoveling in the snow. My beard doesn't like the moisture. But,
snow? Where's the snow at?
Newfoundland, Canada.
Newfoundland.
Newfoundland.
Newfoundland. You say it so quickly. Anyway, welcome to our Season 2, Episode 2 of Satellites by RokitPig and powered by Expansion. That was a song with our new music label, Helium 3. Our musician is David Paratiaco, a great friend. Thank you for that intense song.
Yeah.
Daughter of God.
Yeah.
Wow. Have you heard that one before? Yeah, we sent it to you, Robert?
No, and honestly, that's probably one of my favorite ones he's ever done.
Yeah, well, we have a library of them. Incredible. We'll be releasing these pretty soon. For those of you who don't know, Robert Dumont is one of our producers at RokitPig and one of our executives on the front line of all our marketing and business and distribution. So very excited to have you, Robert. He's always behind the scenes with Angela and Adam and the rest of and Daniel with the rest of our production team. We have like 20. There's like 20 people in this thing, but here we are. There's only this on the front line. We'll take one for the team.
Well, it's an honor to be here, guys.
So yeah, thank you. And Aubrey said she was going to sing a line or two from this Daughter of God.
No, I don't know it. No, I did not. I would like to learn it. I don't know it, guys. Couldn't sing it like David.
I'm just kidding.
No way.
I was totally kidding.
I know. Oh my god.
But you did say that, right?
I did.
And it could have been taken the wrong way.
It could have been. It could have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be more careful in the future.
I don't know. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Robert.
From Newfoundland, Canada. About probably close to 4 years ago now, I got into the entertainment industry, and probably one of the first things I did actually was help you out with the Warfighter movie, doing some marketing and stuff for you and helping you promote it.
Yeah, and from there, fast forward 4 years later or something like that. It's also what brought Angela and all of us together as well, even though we had longer friendships before that. But the importance of following your dreams and doing what you want to do. I've been at that point when making American Warfighter, I was trying to, all the films, you need millions of dollars to produce a film and to make your film and to all this. And I just didn't see that happening as much as I tried and talked to, everyone under the sun. And at one point I was just like, you know what, it's time to not make films for other people and go make my film, which, it could have been a million different things, from anywhere from a David Lynch type film to a Tim Burton type of film to a, I don't know, Mel Gibson or Clint Eastwood or something. There's so many different things I like to write, and you write what you know, and that was closest to my heart, and that was the story of American Warfighter. So that little project has created an entire launching pad now of where RokitPig is and where it stands.
And I loved everything that movie stood for. Brilliant. I love it. And that's what made me want to promote it for you. And I appreciate the veterans, everything they do for the country. I'm not even American, and I appreciate what the American veterans do just as well as the Canadian veterans. And post-traumatic stress is something that's close to my heart. So when I learned the premise behind the movie, I was honored to, jump in and do everything I could to help get it out to the world.
Yeah, no, thank you. Now you're part of the family.
Yeah.
I had a question. How's COVID up there? Because you are on the furthest side of
Canada.
Which side? You're on the east side.
We're on the East Coast. Yeah. So actually, we're one of the best places in the world for COVID. Recently, we've had just like a little minor outbreak. I think, we're under a couple hundred cases for sure. In the last couple days, it's kind of like risen a little bit. But all in all, Newfoundlanders have been really taking it seriously, and being on an island is really helping us at this point. But if things get out of hand on an island, it spreads quickly. So we're all very aware of what we need to do to prevent that from happening. And we've been faring pretty well so far.
What's Newfoundland most known for, or what other than maybe tourism?
Cod fishing. It's been a fishing community. It's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's one of the first places in North America that was ever colonized. Back in the 1600s, in the days of Peter Easton, the pirate. He was operating. Huh?
You were portraying that pirate, right, in a TV pilot?
I did, yeah. Cool. I wasn't Easton himself. I was Eddie Carver, which was one of his associates.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and would you like to introduce our guests for tonight?
I'd love to. So tonight we have Danielle Reierson. I hope I'm saying that right.
Yep.
And Michelle Elise Shock. And
since this month is Women in Film and Black History Month, and we're having, all the episodes this month are going to be catering specifically to both of those communities. And tonight, what's interesting, Danielle's been a long-time friend of mine in the entertainment. We met, I want to say 5 or 6 years ago. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and just get her on, and we'll go ahead and get this conversation going, and then we'll get to share all the cool things that she's been up to. And she was just on the Super Bowl commercial. Pretty cool.
Tell you what, toss me the orb and I might let you live. I thought we were partners. Don't take it so personal. This is business.
Don't shoot it! Don't! You're my meat!
I saw it test fired. Okay? It vaporized a MOCAP tank in less than a millisecond.
I'm sorry that being a hero was more important to me than being with you. I'm sorry I missed Madison growing up. I'm sorry I gave... I'm just sorry for all of it.
The rules are because this is a new home for you, okay? And you need structure.
I knew my new home would be a shithole.
Watch your mouth, young lady.
Why?
Come on, it's only for 6 months, okay? And we care about you.
I'm out of here.
I'm not gonna give up on you. Damn it. I'm not gonna ask you about your button. I'm happy with my religion, okay?
How are you going to find out what makes you special?
$7.95, please.
$7.95?
You want it or not? You want that 5-figure year-end bonus you'll be due if you increase your sales enough? How does, say, 400% in our hospital sound? Would that be helpful? Are you Jack Abbott?
Yes. Oh, the man we love to hate.
I don't know what you're talking about. You've been served. Run.
Goes well.
Hey, welcome.
Danielle, how are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's always good to see you, of course, live. But it was awesome to see your work. I've seen a lot of that before, but it's so it's awesome. It's so diverse, and that's exactly why he wanted to have you on our show, Satellites, to share and to share with others, through your experiences and what everything is. Because I'm not into a lot of that, so it's very, very new to me.
We were talking about earlier before you brought me in how we met. We actually met, if you recall, in a park. I was teaching somebody to sword fight, and you were over working with some other people. I think you guys, were you sword fighting as well?
Of course.
Okay. It was
Right.
just this random, like, two groups of people sword fighting in a park. And Jerry comes over and says, "What are you guys doing?" And at that time, we were testing the costumes to see. We had just gotten the costumes, and so we were running the fights to see if the costumes would catch on any of the sword work. But that's how we met.
That's right. Yes.
Sword fighting in the park.
Yep. Yeah. I was there was like probably 20 of us, and we were doing like knights and barbarians and stuff. And I was learning to practice because we have a TV pilot episodes that we were putting together, which I told you about too. We did the first episode so far. It's basically like The Last Samurai versus The Last Jedi. And so it's very intense with all that sword fighting. And David Robbins was one of our actors in that. And
Really? So
he was
there in the park that day?
He was not. No, he doesn't live in Los Angeles. Oh, but you know what? He did come out shortly after that, because then he started to train our actors, because he is trained in samurai.
Yeah.
Like literally.
Yes. Yeah. Trained in Japan,
So,
and for people watching, I met Dave on OBSCURA, the movie that I did with Jerry recently. So.
Yes. So everyone, Danielle is one of our lead actresses on OBSCURA, which is our latest feature film by RokitPig. She did an amazing job. We got cool photos that we're going to be showing you on today's episode. There's going to be one in particular, maybe not quite yet, but during this episode, we're going to show it. And it's going to be like the first bloody, gruesome shot that we're showing of anything on OBSCURA. So anyone that's watching gets to see that for the first time, and the cat will be out of the bag.
Great shot.
Oh man, you were also in these tunnels.
Yes, yeah. They were pretty intense. Yeah. Yeah. That location was amazing. The shoot was amazing. The people were amazing. That was such a good time. Oh,
Look
there
how
I look
cool
like
you are.
Top Gun. That's totally Top Gun.
That's so cool. You like have a motorcycle. You need to be part of the motorcycle team as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Robert was watching our Eye from the Sky, during all this, because we were doing live feeds. We were doing promotionals daily, promotionals of pictures coming out every day. What was your experience, Robert?
From the outside looking in, I wanted to be there so bad. I did. But honestly, just to be a part of it was an honor for me. And just watching everything unfold, I learned a lot just by watching everything that was happening and getting involved. And actually, cartooned you, Danielle. You never probably seen it.
No.
I'll send it to you some part.
I have a
But,
cartoon of me.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it never ever got
Definitely gotta
released.
send that to
But
me.
I was working on these little promotional things that we were going to do, and it just never happened yet. So
Dr.
who knows?
Craig,
Maybe.
Fast cartoon. That's awesome.
That last picture was with Danielle with one of her directors, Joe Lujan, who's one of our partners with RokitPig. He has Carcass Studios, and he did an incredible job. How was it working with Joe?
Oh, he was a fantastic director. I really hope I get the opportunity to work with him again. He's one of those directors that understands actors, which is always a bonus. You know, for any of you who aren't actors, sometimes you end up with a director that doesn't understand an actor's process, and they'll kind of try to move you around like a car as opposed to like really getting into what you're doing there and, you know, finding a better way to get the performance that they want out of you. Joe was not that way. Joe was definitely an actor's director, let's say.
Tell us about this
team.
Oh, hey, there we are.
Tell us who you're with, and tell us about this.
Okay, well, I can't do this, Jerry, because if I might give stuff away that people aren't supposed to know yet.
Oh, who cares? Have some fun. Yeah, you can say
Okay.
what you want.
Let me
whatever
plug
you
in
feel.
my phone here. Okay, well, first of all, the Obscura role was a dream role for me because my favorite movie is Aliens, and I've always wanted to be Ripley. And in this role, I got to be a combination of Ripley from Aliens and also Burke from Aliens.
Yes.
Cool.
Burke was the, kind of traitor in Aliens. He had, let's not call him a traitor. He had a goal that was very different from everybody else's. So that's a better way to say it. And
Staying in alignment.
yeah. So I got to be a combination of both of those characters in this movie, which was just so much fun to play. Yeah, it was a role that I feel that I was born for. So, and the reason I came to LA from Seattle, and I had been playing a lot of really strong women roles there. I was playing detectives and lawyers and, just all of these just badass kind of women. And so I come to LA all ready to play these roles, and I got some badass headshots and everything. And all I got cast at my first few years here was moms. I was like, I played moms and crying moms and caring moms, and it was so funny because
Oh, what kind of mom is this?
That was a zombie mom.
Well, yeah.
That was a film that I did. That was a zombie mom. And I have a folder of all the moms I've played, on my computer, and that's zombie mom. I have Halloween mom and all these different moms. That's zombie mom. But in that role, I was playing a mom, but I was a mom that tried to kill my daughter by burning her to death, I guess. So.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, while we're on the topic of stereotypes, certainly in the business, it's having that stereotype. You've been a very successful working actress, and I think I remember you told me that one of your commercials paid for your house.
Yes. Here's what I want to say about I came to LA because I wanted to make a living as an actor. I was having a ball in Seattle, but in Seattle, you only act on weekends. Everybody has day jobs. And I wanted to do this to make a living. I love being, in front of the camera. And I also really love, I was in sales before. I was in marketing. I like to sell. So commercials, some people don't like to do them. I love doing them. Yeah, I love it because it kind of mixes my marketing kind of side and my pitch promotion side. and my acting side. I get to kind of do all of that at the same time. So yes, I came to LA in 2006. Over the next couple of years, I blew through all the money that I'd brought with me. And I was getting to the point where it was like, okay, I got to figure out how to make some money here. And I ended up booking a commercial that ran for 3 years and got renegotiated at a higher rate, and it just kept going. And a lot of people that I know were saying, that's it, live off of that and pursue your career. I've always been somebody, though, that kind of plays a long game. You know, I'm not an impulsive person. I kind of think out ahead. And at the time I was thinking, why do I want to be a successful actor? And there are a couple of reasons, but one of them was that I really wanted to buy a house. And I'm like, I could live off this money and I could, you know, just really pursue my career as hard as I can and do everything right. And in this business, there's still no guarantees. So I thought, well, if I keep my day job, which is standing in on television shows, if I keep that day job, continue to pursue, you know, my real acting career and save up the money from that commercial, I could just buy a house now instead of just going for 3 or 4 years and hoping that I get a career that'll enable me to buy a house. I'm like, well, why do I do all that to buy a house when I could just buy the house now? So I just saved up as much as I could from that commercial, and now I have a house, which this is it.
Wow. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Where are you here?
That is the summit of Mount Baldy. That was last month. And I also climb. That's hiking and climbing is one of the things that I do the most right now. In my hobbies right now are hiking and climbing and taking care of cats. So yeah.
All things you can do in lockdown and quarantine for the most part.
Exactly. But that was the first time I have climbed Mount Baldy by myself. That was a solo climb. It was in the snow. And I also, you start that climb at 6,000 feet and it goes up to above 10,000 feet. And so it's a really pretty steep climb and you're at pretty high altitude. So I have always climbed halfway and stayed at the ski hut there. A friend of mine is a host at the ski hut, and then climbed to the summit the next day. So that was the first time I'd ever gone from the parking lot all the way to the summit and back in one day. So
what does that mean for myself and other people that have no clue on, you just walk up the mountain?
It means a long day of hiking in very steep terrain and snow. So you have to have micro spikes to put on your hiking shoes and poles and the whole bit. And it's at high altitude, so it's tougher. Like when you're getting near the top at 10,000 feet, it's like every 20 feet feels like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Yeah, it takes a while to get up there, but.
How many hours does it take if you just go nonstop and you're?
It depends on how fast you hike, but
say if you're average condition.
I started that hike at 7 and I got down at about 5, but I was really taking my time and I spent like an hour at the summit. And so I mean, some people do that hike in 5-6 hours.
Top and back?
Oh, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Well, I could do
it's about a 9-mile round trip, but it's very steep. It's 4,000, 4,000, you're climbing 4,000 feet in that time. So
that's incredible. Well, we have a lot of questions for you about your stunt career and how you got started and all of that, but we would love to actually ask those questions to you and to our other guest, Michelle, at the same time. So we're really excited to invite Michelle on. We have a couple of videos to play of hers as well. Wow. Welcome, Michelle.
Hey, Michelle.
Hi.
Incredible.
Hi, how's it
Is there
going?
anything you can't ride or drive?
No, I can ride and drive everything, but I'm bad at opening things, so we'll just go with that.
Like opening presents on Christmas morning?
Bags, jars, you name it. Just simple things.
Well, those are really incredible videos. I had seen some of the horseback riding and the archery from horseback, but I hadn't seen all of your driving abilities. Wow. I mean, I've done some of that on accident before.
Well, that's how you learn. That's how I started.
Well, then I had no
When
idea I
you're
was in
16
training.
and driving on the highways, 16 and driving on the highways in Florida, you know, and it's raining and you learn how to handle all the conditions. So, and then one day someone pays you for it.
Were you out there with Vanilla Ice at the same time?
No.
Florida?
No. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't. Well,
That's a
random
I'm
question.
probably the only one that got that.
Going back to Florida, and so you started in Florida. Is that where you kind of started learning to do a lot of these amazing athletic things that you do?
Yeah, you know, the thing about growing up in Florida is you have two choices. You either pick up athletics or you turn into Florida man. So, you know, the latter wasn't an option. So I ended up in a lot of different motorsports and around horses a lot, and surfing as well. So water sports. Yeah, that's my boy Royale. He's actually from Florida. We flew him here to California along with my two other horses, and they hopped in like a big carrier thing, and we're on a plane, and yeah, now they're here.
Wow. How much does it cost to fly a horse across the United States?
More money than I really want to spend, but when you have dreams, you gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh. So how many
goodness.
horses do you have? 3?
I have 3 right now. Yes. I seem to always have 3. I had 3, then I had 1 pass away, and then this guy right here, his name is Johnny Utah. He was actually the actor horse from well, we renamed him, but he was the actor horse from John Wick 3. And he came into my care just before the pandemic, which was an interesting time to have a 3rd horse join the herd.
I bet. Maintaining horses is quite expensive, right?
Yes, it's a lot of work. But I'm very fortunate to have a very cool crew of people who love our company and love us and love our horses and pitch in to help. So we've been really lucky.
What is the name of your company?
Equerry and Ace.
Can you say again?
Equerry and Ace.
Oh, okay. Very
so
cool.
We're a performer training company, and we teach different, you know, types of performers, whether it's actors or stunt performers or people coming from live show and moving into camera work, how to work with horses on set, how to ride on camera, as well as doing various types of combat. So my partner, Kendall Wells, runs the combat portion, and he's a sword and fight expert, and he's wonderful. So when we mesh the two, then we get into mounted combat. So it's a neat program with different levels and different various types of film work that we can provide actors with or performers.
See, this is why I wanted her to come on, because she's.
I was
really
just going to say, how did you ladies meet? Please say you had to fight each other.
Tell us the meeting.
On film.
This is actually kind of interesting because I consider Michelle a really good friend of mine, but we've never met in person.
No, we haven't.
Oh, wow.
We're Facebook friends.
We met over Facebook and really, really bonded in situations where we were just having each other's back. This is an industry that can be very male dominated sometimes, and sometimes the women have to stand up and put some people into their place. And I could always count on Michelle to be there for me, and she could always count on me.
Absolutely. Yeah, Danielle's been very supportive, and It is. It's already a difficult industry as an actor or an actress. But then to come into stunts and have to hold our own in a generation now where we're also, really trying to be seen for our skills immediately and not, end up on a couch. So this is, it's important that we all kind of band together, and Danielle's really been so supportive. I'm actually a pretty younger performer to the industry. I've not been doing it that long. So, I've been really grateful for her and a long list of other performers who have come up and just not let me have to deal with a lot of the crap that either they have or others have. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a good community.
That's wonderful. Well, we actually waited to ask Danielle how she got her start. So Danielle, when did you, I know you've been acting your whole life, but when did you start getting into stunts and all of that athleticism?
Well, the interesting thing is a lot of people come into stunts through like a circus background or some sort of a sports background. And I was this person that was always very athletic. I liked to use my body in powerful ways. Like, I even enjoyed helping people move because I could lift things and carry things. But as a kid, I was always jumping off bridges and swimming and doing all this stuff. And when I started acting, there was this part of me that was like, I really love this, but I kind of want to go join the circus. I want to do Cirque du Soleil or, learn how to do all those acrobatic things. And, so during my acting training, my really serious acting training, I took a stage combat class and things clicked for me. I was like, oh my gosh, I can do that and this together in this way. And I'm a classically trained theater actor. That's how I started. And so I started in stage combat, sword fighting, unarmed fighting in front of live audiences for stage. And I moved from there into teaching. I was teaching stage combat and teaching people how to fight with swords and that kind of thing. And then in Seattle, I moved into stunts. And I moved into stunts because that's what people needed for camera. And I started working on film more. And so I started learning the more high profile stunts, like setting myself on fire and high falls into an airbag. Yeah. And I've been hooked ever since.
What are some injuries that take place in all this practice and doing when you guys are so active?
I can say this, the whole purpose of stunt training is to give the illusion of violence or the illusion of danger without actually incurring those things, without having injuries. They do, right, of course, happen. I haven't had any serious ones, knock on wood. In one of my fire burns, I did burn my ear when I was doing a full body burn.
And what causes that? Like, how does your ear get burned out of everything?
Because when you're doing a fire burn, you're covered in a fire resistant gel. Your entire body, you put it in your hair, you put it on your face, anything that's not covered by the there's a Nomex suit that you wear that it's like long johns, but it's fire resistant, and that's soaked in the gel, and they put that on you. And then anything that's exposed, like your hands and your face, they put that gel on it. Well, there was not any gel on the top of my ear right here. So I did this full body burn with the flames going up in my face. I think it might be the one that you guys had the picture of. And when I came out of it, I had burnt the top of my ear, and also my eyelashes were burnt off because the gel, my eyelashes had stuck out beyond the gel. So,
oh my goodness.
Is that why you hide your ears with your hair?
No, I hide my ears with my hair just because
it's cool. It's a cool thing to do.
It's cool.
It's cool.
I could have one ear out. But Michelle, doing horses, maybe you should ask her if she's incurred any injuries because dealing with big animals like that, I can imagine.
I mean, yeah, it's a 1,200-pound animal, or, we have a draft horse who's more than that, but accidents happen. I've been riding for a really long time. I've had some falls that have taken me to the ER when I was a competitor. And I've had horses, run off on me, and I've had drags that have happened unintentionally. But after this many years, and riding the various types of horses that I ride, including very naughty ponies, since I'm actually a small person. I don't fall, knock on wood, that much. I recently had a horse who I was training to be ridden kind of trip over a set of poles and just rolled across the top of them like Lincoln Logs, and she couldn't get her footing back, so she just went down entirely, and I went up and over the top of her head, and as she hit the ground and rolled, I hit the ground and rolled. And that was the first fall that I've had in like 3 years, maybe, other than like intentional
falls.
Intentional.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually a really good point. That's a really good point, because when you learn how to fall, you learn how to fall. I've had situations in real life where I've fallen downstairs, but I didn't get hurt because I knew how to fall.
Right.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and with this particular situation too, it's very common for riders to break their necks in that situation where a horse goes down, because when a horse goes down with their momentum going forward head first, the horse goes down, you go over. If you don't know how to fall, it's likely that you'll end up in front of them. So that is one of the things that I teach a lot of my students as well, is how to fall and how to get out of the way of the horse. And my immediate reaction was to kind of track where the animal was, get out of the way, kind of head diagonally out of the way of where her momentum was going, and roll out.
Did you do a face off so you landed on your back?
Yeah, pretty much. I just kind of side rolled out of it actually, but and I was fine for the most part, except the back of my helmet had a piece, and I always ride with a helmet unless someone's paying me, because it's not worth even risking. But the back of my helmet had a piece to protect the base of my neck and my skull, and it jammed. So I had what felt like possibly a break, but I wasn't sure. And I went home and I had a massive headache, and Kendall had to end up taking me to the ER just to get scanned to make sure everything was fine. But I was fine, thankfully. But it was, sometimes the smallest fall is actually the worst. So even when you land right, you got to be careful, especially with neck injuries. And I'd say that's probably one of the more common injuries with riding, are neck and head injuries. So I always, I don't care if you want to do the tough cowboy thing, that's fine, but it's not worth it to me, because head injuries are so common with riding. And I believe that we're, as equestrians, we're like the #1 sport for head injuries, for head trauma.
Wow.
So it's not
like hockey or football or something, but
right.
I was going to say boxing.
And I was surprised.
Or boxing, sure.
Right, but but no. So it's interesting. But I always am an advocate for wearing a helmet. Unless they want to pay me good money. So
I wanted to circle back to falling correctly. We have an incredible video from a Super Bowl commercial that Danielle was recently in, doing an amazing fall.
Yesterday. Was that yesterday?
It was yesterday. Yeah. So we can't wait to share it with everybody. Our producer, Angelo, is going to pull it up for us.
And I'm at the very end,
supposed to start making
and they
lemons.
shot me from
Probably
the back.
when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
2020 was a lemon of a year.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I love you.
January, February, into March and April. Same way through. Every single second, every minute, every hour. All the whole year through. It is intense right here. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday,
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
That's a lot of lemons.
Well, you know what they say, when life gives you lemons.
We know the saying, Mark.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Nice.
Great.
And so, Danielle, tell us which fall was yours, because I wasn't specific and there were a lot of falls in there.
I was trying to introduce it there, but the video went. I was the very end, diving over the table at the wedding.
It was amazing.
So they shot me from the back. So, what's really cool about being on a Super Bowl commercial is everybody sees it, and then they call you and they're like, yeah, we saw you. And I was like, I got to set and they made the decision, instead of shooting from the other side of the table and seeing me fly over the table, they decided to steady cam behind me and then pan down to the bride. And I was like, well, it's cool. It's still really going to be really cool, but I'm going to have to tell everybody that's me. And one of my niece's husband was like, oh, I thought I recognized that butt.
How many times did you run the stunt?
I did it. I did the stunt 5 times. There was one aborted run because on one of them I ran and I hit my knee on the guy that I pushed out of the way. I hit my knee on him and I was starting to trip. And I would have either hit the table or hit the people under it. And so I just aborted that run. And that's another thing about.
Did you get paid for that one?
Well, they don't pay you per take usually. When you're doing I'm an actor who does stunts, or an action actor or a stunt actor. We never know what to call ourselves. But when I get a part, it's usually because I can act and I can, do the action. And in this case, I was hired as a stunt actor, but then it was really just the stunt because they were shooting me from the back. But when you're doing stunts, you get adjustments usually for doing the stunts, which is a little extra bump because, you're doing a little more than just an actor is doing. So I got a little extra for each time I actually dove over the table. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
What advice would you give to somebody who is looking to get into stunt work?
Okay. Well, Michelle will have to answer some of this. I always tell people that want to get into stunts is, first of all, focus on what you're really good at. But the best way to learn is get to know stunt people, get to know stunt coordinators, go to the gyms that they go to and train with them, find somebody who's willing to kind of show you the ropes. Those are the best way to learn. And then you can do things like if you want to learn car stuff, you can train with those people. If you want to learn horse stuff, you can, train with Michelle. What would you say, Michelle?
I mean, I think those are all really important things, but I would say the biggest thing is have a thick skin. It's a tough industry. It's a tough industry. It's a tough business. It's a tough town. And you have to be able to stand up for yourself and do it in a way that you don't burn bridges, but you also don't put yourself in a dangerous situation. It's really easy as a new performer to get taken advantage of, and not in the way that everyone knows of with the Me Too movement, but as a stunt performer, when you show up, you're really willing, sometimes over willing, to do a thing. And you don't know how to keep yourself safe on a set and how to speak up if something feels wrong or dangerous, or how to evaluate a situation, how to evaluate a situation to make sure that in the end, you're going to go home to your family or to your roommates or whoever you're with. So be able to vocalize what your concerns are in a way that you are using tact and respect, but also you're looking out for yourself. At the end of the day, it's just a movie. It's just a show. And life's worth a lot more than any check they can write you.
Yeah.
Good advice.
Michelle, I had a question for Michelle real quick. Are you familiar with what happened to Christopher Reeves with his accident? So can you explain what happened in that scenario?
Yeah, I believe what it was that he was doing what's called bridging the reins. And it's something that you commonly see in cross country, but they kind of will place both of the reins from each hand over the top of each other. And there's a kitty. Anyways, they'll place the reins over. He's very cute. It's very distracting. This is a very cute kitty. Yeah, so they bridge the reins, and I believe I believe they wrapped the reins around his wrists, which when you bridge reins, you just cross them over and hold them so that you can easily adjust the length and very quickly regather them over, the other end of a fence. But because they were wrapped around his wrists, when he lost his seat, he went over the top of the horse and his hands were caught up in the reins above his head, which caused him to land on his spine wrong. So not something I recommend ever doing.
And that's just some, you know, accidents happen. But like you were saying before, you know, knowing how to protect yourself, both as an actor and a stunt person. I mean, again, it's just you need that's what comes down to having a great coordinator, right? A great fight coordinator.
I was actually going to say that. I was going to say, hey, can we circle back? Because what Michelle's talking about, a lot of times those are people making films or producers that are trying to cut corners, and they'll try to get stunt actors who can do the stunts, and the producers themselves might not know what it is they're asking. They think, oh, anybody could do this when it's dangerous. So part of that advocating is asking for a coordinator, making sure you have a coordinator on set.
Right.
Because the coordinators, that's exactly what their job is.
They're going to advocate for you, right? Make sure you're safe on every take and
Right. Well, but you know, even with that, people can get busy and producers can change things and at the last minute. And then what you end up having is you've rehearsed a stunt numerous times, and at the very last second, there's a change made. And when you're dealing with something like horses or vehicles, and you're trying to coordinate, you know, camera cars and whatever vehicle you're in and your stunt performer, and then whatever, you know, ND performers might be performing around your hero car or your hero vehicle. It's a lot to coordinate, and everyone really needs to be on the same page. And so if something is changed at the last minute and your performer is left in the dark or doesn't advocate for themselves to have another rehearsal, or people try in production to cut corners and cut costs, then you can end up, you know, having a really bad accident, and that's happened. And that happens on big sets sometimes too. So you know, it's more common on smaller budget things that don't have coordinators, but sometimes, you know, shit happens on the big stuff too. So a good coordinator goes a long way, but a knowledgeable performer who can keep themselves safe goes a lot further.
And does that just come with experience? I mean, you can't necessarily grab that set of knowledge unless you've experienced a lot of those situations, or is that something that you teach in your combat school that gets passed down?
We absolutely do. Kendall and I both advocate for taking care of yourself as a performer and understanding safety and precautions and proper distance and how to, you know, make sure you're working well with your coordinators and your wranglers and your team. But I'd say that it's a mix between experience and personality, because there's also people who have been in this industry forever and are just still afraid to speak up. So it's something you kind of have to train in fending for yourself, especially if you have a pushover type personality. So yeah, it's a mix.
Confidence and also integrity. You have to have integrity into who you are and what you're about, which is, it's kind of like when Jerry's description of this podcast is like, oh yeah, everybody being in integrity with who they are. That's something that's important, I think, in Hollywood, not only with stunts, but in acting. You know, you can get caught up doing things that, you know, you can say yes to things that you're not good at. And that's another thing that's really important in stunts, is be honest about your skill level. Be honest about your skill set. When somebody tries to hire you to do something, if it's not something you're comfortable doing, you have to tell that coordinator or tell that person, I'm not the person for this job. And
right. Don't fake it till you make it.
What was that?
Don't fake it till you make it.
Yeah, definitely not. But I think that being, you know, having your own personal integrity and confidence is how that comes about. You can say, I can't do that, and it doesn't make you feel like you're not good enough. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't have that skill, but you know what? I have all this other stuff. I mean,
yeah. Do you think it might also though come from a desperation mindset? Because, you know, jobs might be few and far between. So people will just say they might be able to do something and hope that they might be able to do it when they get there. I don't recommend it. I'm just wondering if that may be another.
Probably. Yeah. I mean,
It comes from desperation, and it comes, it comes from ego too. It feels good when you get hired, and it feels good when you're picked above everybody else. So I think that if you're in this industry and you're pursuing it for ego, you're going to get checked real fast. So you've got to put that aside and do it for passion, and do it for the love of it versus the love of yourself.
Danielle, you and Aubrey are the two leading ladies in Obscura, and you guys both had very active roles. And I would say there's, it was very active roles. Can you guys both share your experience, what it, the intensity of what you're going through?
You want to go first, Aubrey? Or you want me to go first?
Well, I can't speak to stunts necessarily, but I definitely had a lot of weight on me between the comms pack and everything else that I was carrying around. A lot of running up and down hills, and some rickety set pieces and this and that. Really no falling or anything like that, but there were some intense days with a lot of running and a lot of weight.
I would say that's considered a stunt, wouldn't it? And I mean, like literally, take after take after take after running and going through the holes and up the mountainsides, and you're running with
packs.
I don't know, 30, 40 pounds of equipment as well.
Yeah,
that's a stunt, right?
It's not really considered a stunt. However, there's a lot of actresses who would ask for a stunt double to be doing that for them. So,
For sure.
Is that an option? No, I'm just kidding. No.
I've seen stunt doubles just run.
Active. I don't have your skill sets whatsoever, but I love being active. I'm kind of like the way you described yourself, Danielle, is just can't hold still, love to try all the new things and do all the show a little muscle. Oh, you show.
You know what? It's since the pandemic. Since the pandemic, I haven't been doing my weightlifting, so just yoga and hiking.
Very intense hiking.
So we're going to show a picture of you, Danielle, that we haven't showed from Obscura. This is going to be the first time that we've shown it. It's going to be the first, special effects makeup roast. Yeah.
I want to say something about this picture before you show it. Ready? I saw the first script of Obscura, and at the after our section, I was like, hey, I'm not quite sure what happens to my character. Maybe I can come back in the second half of the movie. I don't know. And then I got the new script, and
it was pretty clear that you didn't make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you can show that picture.
Let's see what the audience thinks. Oh
my God.
Oh, she's not coming.
That's not even. That's like a dummy or something. That's not even a real person. What the heck happened to your face there? That is wild. Our makeup artist Roxy Treno did an amazing job. Holy Lord. And the scene when you, oh my God, it's the craziest thing. I remember we were shooting this. This was back. Oh, I don't know, Robert. I mean, you saw some of the pictures before, and behind the scenes stuff while we were broadcasting and stuff. Man, that scene, it's so. And sorry, I got something in my eye. It's so crazy that you start laughing. It's so intense, and when you see what happens, you start laughing. Like people are like,
really?
There you are. There's the app. This is the nice part of everything.
Oh, just before.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
That's
still pretty terrifying.
The beginning of COVID.
That was after my face fell off.
Oh my God.
Geez. And then there's a lot of running too. I mean, in the crevices, those are hard walls and bouncing off and
I did some running and some stunts and some falling into the walls and climbing over things and falling flat on my face while after running, and so there was a little bit of stunt work in there, but mostly it was running and screaming and running and screaming and screaming and running and. Yeah.
I have a little treat for you, Michelle. On this, I did a commercial where I was riding a horse. I'm not anywhere near professional where you like you. I have ridden horses and not a whole bunch of them, but I did book a commercial for a Turkish commercial. I even had to talk Turkish. I remember some of the lines. Dostlarım beklediğimiz gün geldi mi? I had to. It was all crazy. It means something about study. So yeah, watch this commercial. You can tell me if I did a great job or if it's believable. It's like a Braveheart. I'm the guy on the horse.
Okay.
Angelo has it.
Dostlarım, beklediğiniz gün geldi mi? Bunca yıl bugün için hazırlandınız. Bugün istediğinizi alacak mısınız? O zaman gidin ve kazanın.
KPSS kabusunuz olmasın. Sınava hazırlık için ihtiyacınız olan her şey FEM Akademi yayınlarında. Siz işinize bakın.
KPSS.
That was great. It looked great. I mean, being on a horse with a ton of costuming like that is it's not comfortable.
Yeah, so we had to we did several takes, and so one, you run in with the horse, and then you had to kind of stop as quickly as you could
and hit the mark. Yeah.
And then another take we were doing. So I had maybe about a 15-foot radius. No, not radius. A 15-foot length where all the people were lined up. So I was out there with all those actors, and I had to maneuver the horse, go one direction, and then quick come back this direction, and quick come back this direction while I'm talking in Turkish and doing all that. And it was, it was a little mind-boggling, and it was, it was not effortless. It definitely took a lot of.
No, and your horse looked rather excitable too. So.
Yeah, the horse was on. I want to say it was on Game of Thrones.
Really?
Yes.
Famous.
Yeah.
Were they part of the Devil's Horseman?
Where did you shoot that, Jerry?
What's that?
Where did you shoot that?
I think we shot that one up at Big Sky, up at the John Wayne studio, up in Simi Valley or something.
I wasn't sure you were in, another country. I was like,
yeah.
It was a Turkish commercial for KPSS. It's like a study guide for like the SAT or something like that for high school or college, and then you get to you learn through that.
That's a fantastic spot.
Around. The little angels.
So no, it looks great. I thought that was fun.
Do you, Michelle, also go on set and consult and coordinate for other, like say for this commercial? Would there be somebody on set for something like that?
For the commercial that he did with the horses, yeah. Generally, you'd have wranglers who are present, and and if it's a proper spot, then you'd have someone who's a Teamster wrangler, so like 399 wranglers, and nice eye patch there. The wranglers will generally be the ones to work with the performers. So what I end up doing is teaching performers.
We're having trouble hearing you, Michelle.
Huh?
We're having trouble hearing you.
Can you hear me now?
A bit better.
Okay. I typically train performers outside of the performance space because that's usually the job of the wrangler if it's a proper set. And your coordinator functions separately from that. But I have had the opportunity to teach performers for films. Prior to the pandemic, I was invited in from coordinator Mary Albee to come in and teach with another equestrian, Ariana DeBose, for the film The Prom. So sometimes there's an opportunity where we'll get to come in and work with the performers for a particular project, but most of the time that's done by the wranglers, and I'm respectful of everybody's role in this industry, and I'm not trying to take anybody's job. I typically work with people over a longer period of time. So between jobs, performers will come to me and be with me for months and months at a time so that they're at the top of their game. So I'm more like their coach, where when they get on a project, then they work with the team there, and I'm just kind of there to back them up on the side or off the set. But I do, I am available for consulting on a set, and my partner Kendall, he does that as well and works as a fight coordinator. So he is on set and present, working with the actors and performers, and guiding them through the actual scenes.
How difficult is it to ride a horse and shoot a bow and arrow and be able to hit target at the same time? Is that?
It took me a while to figure it out. So it is difficult. Luckily for film, you usually don't actually have an arrow that you're shooting. You just have to make it look like you are. And also for MOCAP, same thing. You don't actually have a loaded weapon. But I actually work with targets outside of that, and it's pretty tricky. There's a lot involved. You've also got an animal moving underneath you. But I use a method that was developed by a Polish writer named Wojtek Osiecki and my coach Hillary Merrill, which is called the balance method. And so the form of the balance method is in order to kind of use your lower body as a shock absorption so that you can float the upper body and you have a lot less getting in your way. So if the horse, missteps or is on a downbeat or an upbeat, you don't have to time your shot because, your upper body is essentially functioning as like a gimbal. So that helps a lot. And then all you have to worry about is being able to knock your arrow without looking, keeping your eye on the target, timing it right, and making sure that your horse doesn't get excited and suddenly bolt. And I do have one horse who, after 2 or 3 arrows, he's like, "This is great," and he'll just take off. And I have to remind him to come back. But so you're working against a lot of elements. Wind is another thing. There's wind from the fact that you're galloping down a track, but then the actual wind will blow. So you have to kind of anticipate that, and then it has to do with the poundage of your bow draw. There's a lot involved. It's
wow.
It's an intricate.
It sounds so easy.
Is there like competitions for that?
There are. It's more common over in Europe and in other countries, but it's starting to become something that we're seeing more here in America. And there's some competitions in Texas and Arizona and New Mexico, and I think they've been trying to get it going in California. But it's been going on for a very long time in places like Japan. It's an ancient sport there. So in Poland and Russia and that's Native American reservations as well. But I think we've seen more competitions for shooting off horseback with the rally races and stuff that they have on our reservations prior to anyone that was dressing up in costume and getting together and drinking ale and doing the Renaissance Fair type competitions here.
That's amazing. I wanted to circle back to the MOCAP because you both mentioned motion capture, and we got to see some on Danielle's reel, which was amazing. And you've mentioned that you're a theater trained actor, Danielle, and I've heard from a lot of my friends who are involved in the motion capture community that it's very helpful to have a theater background. Is that something that you've found?
I find that having a theater background is helpful in all of acting, because when you act on stage, you get very used to not stopping and starting and not counting on being able to cut. And some of the best things happen when something happens on set that is unexpected, and how you respond to it and how you roll with it and what happens. Those are some of the most magical moments in acting, and those are the moments where people are like, "Gosh, how did you do that?" Or "How did this?" And so I find that helps a lot in improv. Being able to improv whatever and keep working. Just keep working.
Sure.
Danielle, I'd like you to for those like myself who are not very familiar at all with MOCAP, will you explain what MOCAP is and go like ABC 1, 2, 3? Like tell us everything about the basics of MOCAP and then what it's like to be in there and to act in thin air with lines and dots and black.
Well, if I had to explain MOCAP.
This picture here, while we're looking at it, explain what these dots are and this costume and all the headgear.
Okay, so I'm wearing a motion capture suit, which is very comfortable, looks like pajamas. And those are markers that are put on my body so that the cameras that are all the way around, you see the red lights in that studio that are behind me? There's cameras all around that. That's called a motion capture volume. And by the way, this picture is from Rouge MOCAP in Marina Del Rey, an amazing studio run by amazing people. And I should also mention that this shoot was part of a program with MOCAP Vaults, motion capture vaults. If you want to, learn how to do MOCAP, Richard Dorton is an amazing instructor who runs MOCAP vaults here in Los Angeles. So the markers, the cameras, the hard part here is going to be that I am not like the technical side of this. The computer side of it, it's very complicated and very techie. Okay. So my part of it as an actor is the cameras are basically picking up everything I do from those markers, and they translate your movement into a computer. And then they can take those what the camera picks up, and they can animate a video game character, for example, with that. So as a motion capture actor, what you're doing is what we call it performance capture. If you're also acting, because you're not just doing the motion, but you are doing the performance that they will then make an animated or computer generated character out of. A famous one would be Gollum from the Lord of the Rings movies. Andy Serkis played Gollum as in a suit like that with those markers. And then the computer put Gollum's creature computer graphics on his performance. So that's Andy Serkis doing that acting and doing that motion. But you
do any size, like King Kong was the same Andy Serkis as well, right?
Yes. He did. Yeah. There's many different actors that play these characters. But I can be playing a character that's, 12 feet tall. They can put, they can animate that onto my performance in a motion after I've done the motion capture for it. Now, the interesting thing there is all the actors who are in there with you, instead of looking at you in the face, if you're playing a character that's 12 feet tall, they have to look up and pretend like your head's up there.
Do they give a marker? Like, I've seen the little ball.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes you'll have like, okay, look at this ball. That'll be where his face is, or that'll be where his hand is, because he's playing an ogre. Yeah.
No, the platform and the stage that you're acting on has a lot of grid, like on the ground and stuff like that. Do they tell you or give you an idea of what your world looks like, or it's just completely?
Yeah.
They do.
Yes.
Like, hey, you're going to be in a jungle, or you're in a.
You'll have a director like Richard Dorton. I was mentioning, he does a lot of directing these days, and they will actually set up, like, we have wooden chairs to be thrones, and we have just flat walls that we'll put up. Like, here's a wall here. We're going to put a door here. You can mime a door, or you can use a wooden door, but anything that doesn't have markers on it will be invisible in the final, when they film it. The only things the cameras will see are things that have those markers on them. So anything else in the volume, like, you can have other people in there that can run through your set and hand you a prop, and if they are not marked, they won't show up. So yeah, so you can have other people there to do things and move pieces and stuff that are going to be invisible to the cameras.
Sounds like a lot of trust involved on both parts.
Yeah. Well,
you gotta trust that it's gonna it's gonna look good.
So you've done a lot of video games or animated characters. Do you have a favorite, Danielle?
You know, I have not. Most of what I do is, that's why I say performance capture, because a lot of the characters that I do, you know, the cinematics that are like if you're playing a video game, and then there's characters that then there's a cinematic,
like a cutscene. Yeah, yeah,
yes. So that would be more of the type of thing that I do. I would, you know, hopefully I will be playing some of these video game characters at some point in the future, but there's a lot, the actors who do those, there is a lot of like repetition. They have to do all of the movements that a character does. They'll spend days just doing the character movements. Like, you know, when you're walking through and then you want your character to go sideways, somebody actually has to record. You have to do all those movements. Like, okay, now we're going to do shuffle to the left. Now we're going to do shuffle to the right. Now your character can jump on one leg. So then you have to do that. Your character breaks into a dance every time you shoot something. So then you have to do the dance.
Oh,
so
that's great.
Every one of those movements has to be recorded in a motion capture studio so that it can be put into the game. Yeah.
Wow. So because you're doing the cinematics, is that why the camera is on your face? Is it rather than having the sensors all over your face, is it just kind of capturing your performance?
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, those are really cool.
It is cool.
Yeah.
Wow. What an incredible, that just sounds like a lot of fun.
It is so, see, and that's the thing about motion capture. When you were like, what can you say about motion capture? Motion capture is the closest thing in acting that I've found that's just being a big kid.
Yeah.
You're in a big playground, you know, in this room.
You're pretending, you're picking up a bokin and pretending it's a giant sword. Like,
yeah. You got a pool noodle in your hand and you're, you know, fighting with it. It's so much fun. And the other thing one of the things I like about motion capture too is that you can be anyone, you can be any age. So, you know, as an actor in Hollywood, as you start to get older, you're like, well, I can't play that 20-year-old, you know, ingenue anymore. And it's like, oh, yes, I can.
That's awesome. Very cool. And you can bring a little more dimension to her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have a wise 20-year-old here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to say anything about MOCAP, Michelle?
I mean, I'm not experienced in that field. I haven't had the opportunity to work MOCAP yet. The closest thing that I've done in that realm would be Forza Horizon 3 was a game that I worked on the cinematics for, but we were in, you know, a real life circumstance. So I was out surfing for that game, for one of the mini movies. So it was all shot the same way that it would be shot if I was doing a stunt. So there was no suits or sound stages or volume involved.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Danielle, one of the things I've always loved about you is that you're an animal person like myself. And we've done a lot together, and we had a writing group together and all that. I'd like you to share, yeah, I'd like you to share a little bit about, you know, during the COVID, you kind of taken up a second lifestyle that kind of like, well, like something that's taken over your lifestyle in saving and helping with cats and stuff. And I'd like people to know a little bit about that and you can share that.
You're amazing, Danielle, by the way, because I've watched you with all of these cats, and you've just done such an amazing thing.
Well, thank you. The interesting thing here is I'm not a cat person. I'm a dog person. I grew up with cats in the house, and I never liked them. I mean, I like them. You know, I like them, other people's cats, but I like all animals. But I didn't ever want them in my house. So what happened, it all started with Trap, Neuter, Return, TNR. There are so many homeless cats, feral cats in Los Angeles. There's like 3 million homeless cats in LA County. And what happens is these cats breed, have kittens, they suffer. You know, there's not enough food. There's not enough, you know, they get hit by cars, they get eaten by coyotes. It's just, So I started, because there was some feral cats on my street, I learned how to do TNR, which is you trap them, you take them in. I'll do another plug. There's a company called Fix Nation, a nonprofit. They fix these cats for free. And if you want to donate to an organization that's amazing, Fix Nation is one I would definitely recommend. But they taught me how to trap. They loaned me the traps. I went out and started trapping cats, getting them fixed, and then releasing them. And I've been doing that for about 4 years now. Well, this year, because of COVID, all of the places that fix the cats, the community cats, had to shut down in March. And they didn't open back up till July. So kitten season is April, May, June. We had kittens. The kitten season this year in LA was off the hook. So I ended up with a litter of 5-week-old kittens that some of the cats that I was trying to trap and neuter had these kittens. And I trapped them for this woman, and then she's like, "No, I can't take them." And I'm like, "Well, what? I can't take them." Well, I ended up.
But you did.
I did, and it snowballed from there because I raised those kittens. I found those kittens homes, and then there was another litter that needed to be trapped, and so this just went on through the entire pandemic. And I now have a Facebook page that's called Danielle's Accidental Cat Rescue because I'm now a cat rescuer, but it all kind of happened by accident. But it's been super rewarding, it's.
You had that one story that you shared with me that is quite endearing with the neighbor, the elderly man that didn't want you around. Can you give us a little? Can you share that story with us from the beginning?
The one that I posted about?
The one where the
COVID.
Someone passed away from his life, and
So, one of the colonies that I've been trying to, there's an abandoned apartment building, and then there's an apartment next door, and that's where these kittens came from. These kittens have been coming from this location because every year the cats there have these kittens. They start running through the parking lot. People hit them with their cars. So I decided I was going to fix all the cats that were in this location so this wouldn't keep happening. And I had the support of a couple of the neighbors, but there were other neighbors that they saw me, feeding the cats. You feed the cats so they know where to come for food because that's how you trap them. And I would tell him, he would be like, "I don't like cats. I don't want them here. Stop feeding them. Go away." And I was trying to explain to him what I'm doing. And even after I explained that, I have taken 17 cats away from here. 17 cats are now gone. And the rest of them, I've got 2 more I have to fix. And then you're not going to have these kittens. And he would yell at me and bitch about the cats pooping in his flower bed. And I was like, "They're not my cats, and I'll clean your flower bed though, So I was having kind of a hard time with him. And every time I'd go there, if he was there, I would kind of cringe and be like, "Well, maybe I can come back later." And so a couple of weeks ago, he was outside when I was there, and he came home and he looked at me, and I always wave and smile. And this time he waved at me, and I was like, okay, that he never does that. He just either looks at me and goes in, or he comes and yells. And he waved at me, and then he kind of walked over, and I said, "Hi." And he said, "I'm alone in here now." And I said, "What do you mean? Like, I've never spoken to this guy before." He says, "I'm alone in here now." And he says, "My wife is gone." And I said, "Well, what do you mean? Where'd she go?" And he said, she died. And I was floored. I was like, what happened? And I sat there. I could just tell, if you've lost somebody or if you lost a pet, sometimes it's so painful that you just need somebody to carry some of it for you. And he needed to talk. And I just dropped everything. And it's COVID, so I couldn't get too close. Plus, he just said his wife had died of it. So it was like 12 feet apart. I sat down on the middle of the parking lot, and I just talked to him for like an hour and a half and let him tell me about his wife. And it was just kind of an amazing thing, because this person who didn't want anything to do with me, and then in that moment, I was the person that was there for him. So
You're amazing.
That's incredible.
thanks. Yeah. I've seen him since, and he always says hi and waves. He's not going to bother me about the cats anymore.
Good.
I did
Might
bring
be
him some
fun for a cat now for company.
Huh?
You're a good human, Danielle. This is why we became friends, you know. And this has been such a hard year for so many people and so many different levels of loss. So
yeah,
you're a great human.
Wow. Well, you're both incredibly inspiring. I have to just circle back to your sisterhood that you kind of mentioned more towards the beginning. I find that incredibly empowering. I know, like you said, it can be really difficult to be in the business, let alone to be somebody who has to kick butt in the business. So you ladies are incredibly inspiring.
Thank you.
It's when you find you can tell when you meet a woman who you're like, okay, this woman isn't threatened by other women, and she's gonna have my back, and they're very valuable. Very valuable to have.
Few and far between. Yeah, it's good to find your people.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you guys like to share as we get ready to wrap up our episode of Satellites?
I mean, as far as our business, we just reopened. So, you know, Equerry Ace.
Yes.
Thank you. It's been a
We'll have
very
to come over and visit.
Yes,
please
I would love to.
yeah, come to the ranch. Come, we're out in Camarillo. You know, it's been a really tough year, and got very wrapped up in trying to survive it. And now look at that beautiful cat. I'm always distracted.
Every time you're talking,
Every time the kitty
pops up and like
I
still.
know, and it looks like one of my old kitties. I love that.
This is a failed foster. This is a cat that I've been trying to find a home for forever.
Oh, who wouldn't want that baby?
Well, every
looks like my old
finally
cat.
somebody shows interest, and I'm like, no, I don't think he's going anywhere.
He's mine. Mine.
He's super cute.
Robert, I want to put you on the spot, and since this is, we're supporting and empowering women, just in general. You have an incredible family, and your wife Jennifer is just the backbone to your family, and your daughter. And can you share a little bit about your family and what it means to you to have these powerful women in your life, and to give them, support them, to help them be the strongest that they can be too?
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
Since you're so quiet,
big
man.
question. Hold on. All right. So yeah, no, no doubt about it. Me and my wife, we've been together for, I'd say, going on 14 years now. And yeah, man, we've been through hell and back. She's always been a person that no matter what happens in life, she's there with me. I'm always there for her. We endure no matter what, and we've always got each other's backs, and I don't dare stand up to her. Yes, ma'am. No, I'm just kidding. She's I look like the mean one, but she can hold her own.
How many years?
And what's that?
How many years have you been together?
14 years together now. Yeah.
Wow, nice.
And she's supported your transitioning, or you getting involved in entertainment.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of struggles, to be honest. Like the whole, from the first time I went into acting and stuff like that, there's been a lot of obstacles, a lot of, and she's always been there to be like, don't you worry, you just keep going. You know what I mean? Like even at the points where I was like, oh my God, like I should just give it up and just, keep working my day job and focus on that. And she's always like, reassured me that, hey, you still go chase your dream. You know what I mean? Like your time's coming. You just gotta stick with it. Don't give up. And she's always been in my corner, cheering me on. She's not a throw the towel in, she won't call the fight. She won't.
What does she
And,
do?
She actually manages a Tim Hortons coffee restaurant.
Oh, cool.
Tim
Yeah.
Hortons. I always like to say Tim Hortons. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm gonna go get myself a Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
It's like a Dunkin' Donuts or a Winchell's Donuts, if you guys don't know Tim Hortons. But
That's it. I should be sponsored by them actually because man, I drink a lot of Tim Hortons coffee.
That is so cool.
It's powered by coffee. I think most of us are.
Yeah,
and I've actually tried to get my wife and my daughter in on most of the projects I do.
Awesome.
So whenever I'm acting in something, I always try to bring them into what I'm doing and get them involved as well. Like my daughter, she's got 3 IMDb credits now.
Nice.
So yeah.
That's
she goes to school and tells people like, "Hey, I acted in a movie," and they're like, "Yeah, okay, sure you did." You know what I mean? Like they don't believe her and stuff like that. So she's kind of a little discouraged. But you know, I love that she does that and she enjoys it. And yeah, I'm happy to bring my family with me when I do stuff if I can.
Are there any of them around you right now? Can they hear us?
No, they're both in bed. It's midnight here.
That's right. That's right. Yes. Thank you for being here.
I was just going to say, he mentioned IMDb. I was just thinking the other day, you know how you forget how far you've come? Because you always want to be like, oh, I haven't done this yet. Like the Super Bowl commercial. I finally got a Super Bowl commercial. But it's like I think about these things and I'm like, oh, I've not done this and I haven't accomplished that. And this has taken so long in Hollywood. And then one day I was like, I remember looking at IMDb and going, God, I need to get on there. I need to get on there. so that's a really good, like, you know, I can look at that and go, oh, I have done stuff. I have come far. Like, it's hard to remember once you get here. It's hard to remember how far you've come, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's really important to keep your eye on that.
Yeah.
Love
For me, every one of those is a story.
Mm-hmm.
Every single credit on there, I have stories that go along with them.
Yeah. And now your daughter does too.
That's awesome.
Now my daughter does too.
Very, very cool. Well, I just wanted to say thank you very much for coming on here and inspiring all of us, not just by being kick-ass women who are out there just taking their own careers by the horn, entrepreneurs and philanthropists and cat saviors. You guys are really, really amazing and inspiring. And Robert, you know how much we appreciate and love you. You're incredible. So we also want to thank all of our subscribers from YouTube and Facebook. We have people on Spotify and Anchor and podcasts. So thank you all for joining us and just being part of our community. We love you.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
I just want to end with
OBSCURA, Jerry.
I don't know. It's going to be 2021. We're working. We're getting close. We're getting close.
So exciting.
Yes, and I just wanted to say this encouragement for everyone that's listening is that everyone that you come in contact with, everyone has things that they want to accomplish and to do. And, you know, everyone knows life. There's the ups and downs and all the challenges and stuff. So, you know, it's time that as we move forward in our lives to not be so hard on ourselves. Let's not be so hard on other people. Let everyone be themselves, you know. Everyone wants for the greater part of everything, just to feel accomplished and get to do what they love. And not a lot of people get to do that. So any chance you can support somebody, whether it's Michelle with her horse company, or Danielle getting her a job, or us, you know, as filmmakers, you know, Aubrey as a singer, a professional opera singer and actress, you know, just be supportive. Just be supportive. And someone steps on you, not a big deal. Not a big deal. Another person hits you, steps on you, not a big deal. Let that stuff go. It doesn't affect, doesn't matter. Move forward and be a positive light for everybody.
Yeah.
So
And don't step on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good advice. Good advice.
So true. Cool. Anyway, everyone, you take care. Thank you for coming on Satellites.
Thank you. I can't wait to see you guys at the ranch.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, come out as soon as you want.
Cool. All right.
Thank you for having us.
Bye.
All right.
Nice to meet you, Robert.
your worry? So what's your worry? Ooh, time traveler. Ooh, time traveler. Yeah. You can't keep living for tomorrow. You won't see the sunlight if you're hiding in the shadows of the dreams you have and things you think might take away your joy, but they're not here. So what's your hurry? So what's your hurry?